This is like a map of Agra. Someone's drawn like it as an actual hedge. So you can see the line of inland customs there. To enforce tax, the East India Company created the Inland Customs Line, which ran from the Himalayas down to Orissa. My dad wouldn't describe himself as Indian. I wonder how involved my family were in that part of it. So there was a guy I met in 2017 called Dan. We were just talking about our adventures and trips we've been on, and he asked me what my next one was, and I said, I'm obsessed with this hedge in India. And he just said, I think you should run it. The idea behind Project Salt Run started.
Hi, welcome to the EcoSend podcast. I am your host, James, and today we haven't actually got a new series for you. We've got a one-off special, which I'm very excited about. I am joined by my good friend, Hannah, who many of you will know, who runs the Better Business Network, runs the Better Business Summit, which is the annual gathering of good purpose-driven businesses. In fact, more than annual now, or more frequent than annual, because it's expanding like everything Hannah does. And crucially today as well, because we are not far away now, Hannah is embarking on what some might call the most crazy ambitious project ever, which is Project Salt Run. And I'm not going to spoil what that is, but we're going to get into it. So Hannah, welcome. Hi, how are you doing today?
I am good. Yeah, we're actually on the day of recording, we're 51 days from when I start Project Salt Run. So things are getting really real now. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about it, but I'm also scared. But let's go anyway.
Let's go. It always sounds more terrifying when you say a number and then days. It's just like, you just imagine this stop clock of like ticking down like
it definitely feels
the
like
event. Hannah, before we get into Project Salt Run, because I'm itching to ask you all about it, why don't you just remind everyone, for those who don't know, what is the Better Business Network? What's the Better Business Summit?
So the Better Business Network was born out of my frustration, really, of running a business and one of the reasons I think most people start their own business is not just to make money and pay the bills, but you're doing it because you're passionate about the thing that you're trying to create, and you want to create something good in the world, and you also want to work with people that you like. I mean, that's one of the few benefits of being able to run your own company, is you kind of get to choose who you work with and the types of businesses you also work with. And I originally started my agency, Better Not Stop, and I was desperate to find a community of business owners that I could connect with, maybe work with, but maybe just people that I could be friends with and bounce ideas off, who were in the same situation as me. And I really struggled to find that community of business owners with the same values. And this was around 5 years ago. So I kind of put a post on LinkedIn, seeing if anyone else felt the same. People did. It was the beginnings of the Better Business Network. And now 5 years on, I've switched from doing the agency work into really focusing on the network, because I feel there's a big need in the UK for business owners to get that support from each other, and also to feel empowered that they can be part of the solution for some of the problems we have. So that's how the network started. And based off that came the summit, because the network kind of really got busy during COVID, when we were all kind of stuck on Zoom calls. And we wanted to bring our members together in person. So we started the summit up in Manchester 3 years ago. This year we did our first Summit South. So we did an event down in Brighton, which went really, really well. And I think we recognise what our kind of secret sauce to the summit is yes, there's lots of amazing inspirational businesses that we all know and love, like Patagonia and Tony's Chocolonely and Faith in Nature and Dry Road Talking. And there's also opportunities to hear about innovative, smaller businesses who are doing really exciting stuff, who might not really be able to have the opportunity to speak on a stage like that usually. But really the point of the summit is to just bring people together and have that sense of community. And I think that's what we do really well, is people can come to our events not knowing anyone and left feeling like they've become part of something bigger. And that's really what we're trying to do as a community.
That is a brilliant summary. Thank you, Hannah. And I must admit, like, I'm honestly not saying this just because you're on the call and I'm talking to you face to face, but like, I think I told you after I came to the summit last time, it's genuinely just the loveliest bunch of people coming together in one place. I've been to so many conferences in my time. And like so many times I've come away feeling pretty deflated from conferences. I've come away feeling just drained. I came away from the Better Business Summit feeling just like so happy, and just I made so many great connections with people. And it's so rare, I think, when you go to conferences and do anything in business, that people genuinely want to help each other out and support each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, it's just a brilliant network of people you've brought together.
Yeah, I think it's the community that makes the community. And I think people go into it not with an expectation of, can you help me in my business from a financial sense. I think we've all been to those networking events where you're asked, what do you do? And you kind of, it almost closes you promotion-y about who you are and what you do. You don't want to feel like you're selling yourself, but actually if you can more approach it as it's just meeting other people doing cool things, it takes away a lot of that pressure. And yeah, we've been very lucky, I think, with the summit and with the community, is that people, it just attracts that sort of energy to the event. And I don't know if you've ever heard the term, there are people that are radiators or people that are drains. And I feel like the summit is a radiator of a business event, because people do say they come away feeling refreshed, invigorated, like excited about being able to do new things. And I know exactly what you mean about walking away from some of these things with your kind of social battery drained and feeling a bit rubbish. But I'm glad to hear that is not the feeling you get when you come to our events, because we put a lot of effort into making them feel good.
A big radiator in the middle of Manchester. Yeah, yes. That's what we all need. No, it was amazing, Hannah. And I guess one more thing while we're on Better Business before we get into Project Salt Run, Better Business Standards.
Yes, that's been been in the making for a long time. My business Better Not Stop started because one of the challenges I wanted to work on was burnout with business owners, and evolved into me becoming a B Corp consultant, which evolved into their business helping businesses become B Corp certified. But along that journey, I recognise there's lots of businesses doing really great stuff who that certification just isn't the right fit for them. And also the challenges of UK business owners specifically aren't completely covered within that kind of framework. And yeah, I just, I've spent years listening to hundreds, if not thousands, of business owners that have come through the network or the events that we've done, all experiencing the same challenges, which is they want to do good work, but they don't know where to start, or they are doing good work and they don't know how to communicate it. So the standards really are something that's trying to solve those two problems for people, which is it's a really simple 7-pillar framework to show businesses these are the areas you should be focusing on to have the biggest positive impact on people and the planet. This is how you do it, and then this is how you can communicate to people what you're doing. So we really feel that we're looking at that based on a lot of global frameworks we've kind of come to for inspiration, but also looking at UK policy and what's the expectation from the UK government of what businesses should be doing. So really helping them have an actual, not just a certification, but a roadmap, a plan, and then with the added community to help them do that and the resources to help them do that too. So it's been literally years in the making. It's come around probably from my point of view. I was thinking in my head, oh, this is something we'll do when I come back from Project Salt Run. But we actually realised, no, this is something that needs to come out now. It's the right time. People are asking for it. So it will be out by the time this podcast is out, which is exciting. We've sent it out to quite a few industry thought leaders beforehand to get their voices on what they thought of the standards. And we've had nothing but positive, resounding feedback from people saying this is exactly what's needed. It's definitely there's definitely the opportunity for it. This is actually something businesses can use. We've had hundreds of people sign up to the wait list, so I'm just excited to get it out there and for businesses to be able to start using it.
That's awesome, Hannah. I feel like, how often does this happen where you're like doing something like that ahead of time? Like, not that Project Salt Run is just taking up surely every hour that God gives you. I'm now worried that our podcast won't be out before you, like, we can barely get a podcast out on time, and you got a whole standards framework.
Yeah.
That is incredible. And yeah, at a time where, we talk to a lot of people who are considering B Corp or considering recertification, it's a time where, and I think in the UK there's lots of questions for businesses of like, what's the right thing to do in so many areas. So this standards, it sounds like an absolutely perfect time to be launching something like that. So we'll look forward to hearing more from you very soon on that. Thank you for explaining it. And doing it and making it happen. Okay. Project Salt Run.
Yes.
What is this? What is this, Hannah? What is this madness?
So this has been different to the standards, but for an example of the standards, that's been something that's been in my head for about 4 years, and I've had various conversations with people over the years about the need for something new, and just hadn't quite landed on the right time to approach it and do it. And Project Salt Run is a very similar kind of challenge in the way that the idea was actually sparked for Project Salt Run 10 years ago, and it's literally taken 10 years to become something. So, and that's why it feels absolutely insane to me. We're like 50 days from it happening, because it's literally been a decade of my life this kind of idea's been in my head.
Wow.
But not as what it is now. So essentially it's come from me being fascinated with a story. A book came out called The Great Hedge of India in 2000. I read it in 2015. I was just in my free time, in my leisure time, reading a book about Indian colonial history. It's something that interests me. My dad's from India. It's always been a fascinating subject for me. And I read this story about how in the 19th century, the East India Company, to enforce the salt tax in India, created a 4,030-kilometre long hedge through the entire country, manned by between 12 to 14,000 British Army officers. And it just sounded like the most crazy Disney villain story of creating a natural object bigger than the Great Wall of China, but yet we don't know about it because hedges are man-made. So when we stop kind of looking after them, they just kind of disappear. Something natural to create something so brutal to humans, and it being such a big thing and no one really knowing about it. And that also was crazy to me. So I was fascinated with the story of the hedge, always wanted to, I'm an adventurer, I love to travel. I always wanted to visit India and see if there was any remnants of this hedge still left, which is part of the story of the Great Hedge of India. Roy Moxham, who wrote that book, does lots of visits to India to try and see if there's any kind of leftover history or stories about the hedge along the route. And last year, I just reconnected with an old friend who simply asked the question, are you still obsessed with that hedge in India? And I thought, yeah, I am actually still obsessed with that hedge in India. And he is a ultra runner, incredible guy called Dan Beaumont, who I'd reconnected with, who I hadn't seen in 2 years, through the fact he was in the background of a viral Instagram post that I saw when I downloaded the app. You could not make up the story. And
obviously that's how anyone connects.
That's how we reconnected. So not only did Dan and I reconnect in a very bizarre way, he, one of his first questions for me was asking me if I was still obsessed with this hedge. And through a series of serendipitous moments over about 3 days, which I could bore you with on this podcast, but as you know me, James, my stories are very long. But after a series of weird things happening over a few days, by the end of that, I was like, not only am I going to commit to going out and trying to discover if this hedge, any remnants of this hedge is still there, I'm actually going to run the route, and I'm actually going to do it as a way to raise money for charity. And actually after those 3 days, I remember saying to Dan, I'm not going to do it unless I find a really good name for it. And then we came up with Project Salt Run, and we thought that's actually a really good name. Let's go ahead and try and make this happen.
I would say, 1, it's a great name, and 2, that escalated quickly in 3 days.
It really escalated quickly, correct.
I'm just going to see if this hedge is there, and I'm going to run the entire length of it.
The thought process at the time was, for context, was when I had originally wanted to go visit the hedge, I worked as a freelancer. So I would work project work, and then I would go traveling for a few months at a time. That's pretty much how I spent my 20s. which is when I met Dan. So when I met Dan originally 8 years previously, that had been my next big adventure I'd wanted to go on and to save up for. But to travel it by motorbike or by car, and life happened, COVID happened. By the time I reconnected with Dan, I was now running a business with staff. So the concept of actually going away for a few months just wasn't possible. I mean, even though this is what Project Salt Run now is, I think Dan just suggested it as a run, and a few things happened over that weekend, which you know the story of, James. And if anyone's interested in the actual depths of that story, we have our own podcast called Project Salt Run. Go and listen back to the episode. You'll get the whole weird and wonderful story about how 3 days completely changed my life last year. But by the end of it, it almost was like, well, of course I'm going to run it. But as you know, James, at that point, I hadn't run further than about 5K in years. So we were really starting from complete scratch.
I was gonna say, talking about running, and like, I think we've discussed running on certainly as a team. I know we've gone for at least a couple of runs together.
Yes.
Many people probably listening or watching this have maybe considered running 5K, which can, that's a lot. That is a long way. 5K, 5 kilometers is actually quite a long way. That's like takes most people, I don't know, maybe half an hour or so at least to do. And then maybe some people feel like they have the confidence to run, let's say 10K, maybe a half marathon. Maybe if they are incredibly ambitious and dedicated, they can one day maybe run a marathon. But that's just not enough. That's just not enough, is it, Hannah?
Well,
100 marathons.
Yes.
Like, how does the?
I
don't know if there's a question there other than like how. It's unfathomable. I know as a human, I am terrible at like when someone tells me 1 billion versus 1 million and how much bigger the one is than the other. But I think it's very hard to even fathom how far that is.
And I think we, as a team, haven't quite fathomed how far that is either. So, for context, the 100 marathons in 100 days came from 4,030 kilometers is just under 100 marathons. A marathon is 42 kilometers, so that's 4,200 kilometers is what we're trying to run. And the Great Hedge of India ran from Orissa in the Himalayas, which is now Pakistan, from the Himalayas, which is now Pakistan, all the way to Orissa in India. And then that is at a state next to Kolkata, which is where my dad's from. So the idea is that we will run the hedge and then we will kind of finish that route, and then I will run to my dad's childhood home. So the end of the run is kind of like arriving back, with that kind of identity piece. The run has more meaning. It has more meaning now. It has more meaning to do it as a run for several reasons. The hedge is a symbol of oppression, of us not being properly connected to nature and what our relationship with nature should be like as humans. It was created by the East India Company, which was the company that created shareholder value, which is the system that we all live on, which, as you and I know, is not the system we should be working in as business owners. We should be thinking of our stakeholders, which is everyone affected by our business, which is a law that I've been trying to change as part of the Better Business Act coalition for years. So it's quite a symbolic route that we're trying to do. And running is symbolic. It's one step in front of the other. It's always moving forward. It's doing something really hard, because what we're trying to talk about is a really hard subject. So there were so many connections in what Project Salt Run is in my work now, that's why it kind of took 3 days for it all to make sense. I actually don't think if I'd gone to India 8 years ago and hired a car and looked for the hedge, it would have had any meaning that it has now, because I wouldn't have worked in the way in which I do now. But you're right, 100 marathons in 100 days, it sounds good. So we were like, well, that's kind of sounds good.
I mean, it sounds good from an external, I'm going to watch this.
And in the same way, when we were thinking of our fundraising target for Project Salt Run, we were like, right, well, what sounds good? And we were like, well, Ross Cook's just come back from running across Africa and he's raised £1 million. And I thought, well, if a bloke can raise £1 million, a woman can raise £1 million. And so
Bring
we
it
kind
on.
of put this incredible target there for 1 million, with a view that, you know, maybe we won't do it, but let's for the moon. You know, if you don't aim for it, you're definitely never going to do it. And same with Project Salt Run. If we don't aim to do those 100 marathons in 100 days, we're definitely not going to do them. So we are aiming for it. And like you said, I didn't run this time last year, and the progress that I've made as a runner, I think, has come from that kind of unwavering belief that, well, I'm going to have to do this really long run because I've already committed to this even longer run in, you know, 6 months time, 5 months time. So I've just got to get on with it, you know. Absolutely.
I mean, there's so many layers and levels to this of like, I think throughout, I've never done anything close to what you're attempting, but it's sort of, no one by accident goes and does something like this and pushes themselves to these extremes. And I think for so many people that it's sometimes hard to know where your limits are, like maybe in business, in life, in health, in everything, like unless you set yourself something crazy and you kind of see how far you can get. And I think what I love about this is like, it is an absolutely crazy ambitious thing, but like, you know, you can do it, and I know that you can do it, and there's just no way that this would happen just by chance. It's like you need to have this level of planning, this level of ambition.
You need to have
it's
the belief.
A mindset thing as much as a physical thing.
Exactly. Exactly. And when I first started the challenge, I was like, right, I'm going to listen to as many podcasts of long distance runners to find out what they're, and every single one was saying, it's your mindset. And I'd be thinking, well, it's not really your mindset, is it? You've got to be pretty physically fit to be able to do these crazy runs.
Some good legs on you.
Yeah. And but actually the more I run, the more I realise they're right, obviously. But it's very much the mindset of a business owner, as you know, James. Like if you woke up, when you started EcoSend, you didn't start EcoSend thinking, well, I'll just do an okay, you know, mailing provider. You were like, no, I want to make the best, not only the best sustainable, eco-friendly, planet positive provider out there. I want to make it the best customer experience. And if you woke up every day without thinking you had the belief to do that and create that, then you're definitely not going to do that. So we almost have to, I say this a lot to like my friends. I'm like, you almost have to gaslight yourself into thinking that you can do it, because as business owners, we need to do that. And we all do have those days where we wake up and we think, I can't do it. I don't know where to start. Wouldn't it be nice if there was someone I could just pick up the phone to and tell me what the best next business decision is, because I'm struggling to know what to do. But the reality is, as business owners, we've got to have that self-belief that what we're creating and doing is a good thing and creating something good in the world. And it's hard to do. And again, another reason for the network, because we all help build each other up when we are having those difficult days. But we've got to believe we can do better work, things, whatever. And with Project Salt Run, it would not have been possible if I had not had the belief at the beginning of the idea of that project from other people that I could do it. And now at this point, when I am having those days where I'm like, how the hell are we going to make this project happen? Just people just going, you'll do it. You'll figure it out. You'll get it done. Something will come up. Just send the email, you know.
Yeah.
But it's hard to always have the self-belief, which is why you need to surround yourself with the people that believe in you too. But it's hard.
Yeah, no, it's so so inspiring hearing you say that, and I think it is so true though in life. There's a quote I read a while ago that's something like, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're already right.
Yes,
and
I love that one.
Yeah, and I think it's so true. I feel like the default in the world is just like stuff hitting you, telling you, stop, don't do it, give up now, you're rubbish, yeah, stop, yeah. And it's just like, that's the default sort of tidal wave always coming over you. And like, it's anyone who's like achieved anything in life, it's like, it's not like they just had this magic path where they didn't have that. It's just like they overcame it and they pushed through. And you know, I think a lot of people, I just think this Project Salt Run is just like the ultimate exemplification of that. It's incredible. I mean, there's a couple of questions I also had for you, Hannah, around like over the time that you've been preparing so far, like what I mean, it's the kind of the both sides. Like, what's been the times which have given you the most joy over the last few months and year of running crazy long distances and figuring all of this stuff out? What's been giving you some joy, and what are the moments that have been pulling you down and like where you just don't want to do it?
I think probably one of my most joyful moments was doing the coast to coast with the rest of the Project Salt Run team. When they were all around, we were all working together, probably for the first time, where we ran the width of England together, which was around 7 marathons in 7 days. My longest day was about 54 kilometers. I think my shortest day was 27, but lots of different elevation.
Yeah.
The joy in that was that it felt like a team thing, and I was just surrounded by a bunch of people that had made, like, all taken a week off work to just help me run across the country, and because they thought I could do it. And I remember on the second day being really physically not feeling I could do it, and thinking, well, all these people think I can and have given up their times. I've just kind of got to get on with it.
Yeah, you better not let them down.
Yeah, better not let them down. And there were definitely elements of that run that I didn't think I could do it, but I kind of was like, well, Natalie's running with me, or they're going to, I've just got to keep going. And part of that was, if I can't run across England, I'm definitely not going to be able to run across India. So I need to just keep going. So the bits of joy for me have been being able to work with some of my best friends, and them believing I can do that, and giving up, which is everybody's most important thing, their actual time to help make Project Salt Run happen. And often that can be, sometimes you'll be in the middle of a run, and like 10k in, suddenly you're just like, I'm having the best time ever, I feel good. You get home, you're like full of endorphins, and that can just happen kind of at any point, which is good.
How did you feel completing those that week? Like, how did you feel?
The coast to coast was really emotional, because I actually couldn't believe we'd done it. Like, we got to the end, and I remember just kind of having my arm around Natalie at Robin Hood's Bay, and we kind of threw these stones that we'd picked up on the other end into the water. I didn't even throw mine well. It was actually quite embarrassing. I kind of threw it and it just barely landed in the water. I was like, I've got such weak arms.
I think that's forgivable.
Yeah, and I remember, and we kind of all got a pint in the pub that's just like next to the bay, like a pint of Guinness. And I'm just feeling like, I've actually just done that. Like, I've actually just run across the country. That's wild. And then I went to, it was London Climate Action Week the following week, and I was there. We put on like 4 events there. We did like a podcast with 1% for the Planet CEO Kate, and then I picked up a van, went straight to Glastonbury, and everyone was like, what have you been up to? And I was like, I just ran across the country last week. I was like, I just can't even it coming out of my mouth, I'm like, can't actually believe I did that. And it's wild, but it goes back to that belief thing we were talking about a few minutes ago. Like, it's wild that I did that. Like, I can't even imagine it, bearing in mind last year I didn't run at all. So it really shows that surrounding yourself with the right people and committing to yourself something that you want to do. It's cheesy to say, anything is possible, but it's back to your Henry Ford quote: if you think you can or you can't, you're definitely right. And I think when you don't think you can, which is a lot of time, I don't think I can do stuff, there's enough people around me who remind me that I can. And so that's the thing that kind of keeps you going in those tough times.
Absolutely. Oh God, yeah. I'm feeling very very motivated and inspired now, Hannah. I feel like when I celebrate finishing Park Run on a Saturday, I may be feeling 0.1% of the emotions that you might have had at finishing your crossing the country run. I'm incredible. I'm actually conscious of time. I feel like I knew that this would be flying by, so I wanted to just make sure that I clarify as well. Like, you mentioned right at the start that it is a charitable endeavor. So what are the causes that you are supporting and raising as part of this?
So we as a business have been supporting 1% for the Planet since the beginning. And that is a a kind of non-profit organisation started by Patagonia, which is it's a commitment that businesses give and a license businesses can have on their products or services, saying they're a 1% for the Planet member, which is when you essentially give 1% of your revenue to high impact non-profits. It's a very simple process. You show 1% how much money you've made that year, not profit but revenue. So if you've sold £100 worth of something, it's £1, and just showing you're giving £1 of that money to a high impact non-profit. So 1% for the Planet's role is to check businesses' revenue against how much they've given to charity, but also to vet the charities that those businesses can give it to. So they have a whole directory of different causes that you can give your money to, both in social or environmental charities, non-profits, social enterprises, all different places around the world, literally thousands that you can choose from. A charity or non-profit can nominate themselves to be on the 1% for the Planet directory. And then simply as a business, all you need to do is say, we did £100 in sales this year. £1 of it we gave to this charity in the 1% for the Planet, and then you're a 1% business. Probably could have explained that better, but hopefully that was...
No, it makes sense. It's perfect.
So we wanted to raise money for 1% for the Planet as an organisation, because we think growing that organisation and helping them grow to help more charities and to bring more businesses on board is a really good organisation to support. But then we also wanted to look at some that were really specific to Project Salt Run and what we're trying to do with that. So in fact, we've actually got, and you are going to be like the first people to know about the 4 charities that the other 3 charities that we're working with. So we're working with Frank Water.
Exclusive.
Yeah, exclusive. You've got an exclusive. So we're working with Frank Water, who are a water charity, do a lot around education and community support in conservation of water. They do lots of projects in India. They've specifically done a very big project in Chennai recently. So Frank Water was one we definitely wanted to work with. They're a UK-based charity, but they do lots of projects in India. And so we're raising money for Frank Water. We're also raising money for Big Change, which are a UK-based charity who are helping youth in the UK. We've got a big problem in the UK of youth feeling disillusioned with the future that they're being presented with. Big Change support young entrepreneurs and people who want to be involved in social impact, bring those ideas to life. That to me is empowering the next generation to make the world a better place. So we were like, definitely want to support that. And then thirdly, our third charity is another incredible charity that we've wanted to work with a while, and we have been supporting as a network, which is Client Earth, which is a environmental and social law firm that not only take governments to court, but businesses to court if they are not looking after the planet that we live on. They do a lot around ocean conservation, and they also train legal professionals in how they can support the earth too. And yeah, they're the ones really on the front line getting legislation changed so that someone is representing the planet. So yeah, Client Earth, Frank Water, and Big Change. They're getting 20% of anything that 20% each of anything that we fundraise, and then 1% for the Planet will be getting 40% of the money we fundraise for them to really help grow that movement. For context, they've raised nearly £750 million worth of funds have been fundraised by 1% for the Planet through their businesses into social and environmental non-profits. So we know that work is amazing work.
Amazing. That's absolutely brilliant to hear, Hannah. And they're all so connected as well to what your whole everything about you is trying to achieve in the world. So it's absolutely brilliant. And not only are you drawing attention to all of those amazing causes, but of course also all of the history of the hedge as well, and all of that backstory. I would imagine many people, if they've gotten to this point and they've followed along, they are hopefully itching to say Hannah, how do I support you? How do I follow you? How do I engage? How do I give all of my money to you? So how can people connect? How can people support? How can people find out more? Do tell.
So obviously it's an endeavour that is going to cost money to do. So we've tried to be really transparent in how we're fundraising. So unlike a lot of other expeditions, we're fundraising on 2 different platforms. So we're making sure GiveStar is our platform for all our charity fundraising. So people know if they give us money on the GiveStar platform, that money will be going directly to the charities in which we're supporting. But to be able to do that, we are fundraising on Crowdfunder, which is a platform which is allowing us to basically pay for the expedition. So I've put my money where my mouth is already. We've donated a big chunk from the Better Business Network, but we've also had lots of donations from businesses and individuals to help us up until this point. You as a business or an individual can go onto Crowdfunder. We've got lots of different reward types, and so you can give us anything from kind of £5 to like monthly donations, right up until, you know, as much as you want. We've got the kind of 2 big ticket items are, we've got the PSR 100 family, which is if you donate £1,000 or more, you join that, and there's lots of additional behind the scenes stuff and support and thanks that we give you as a PSR 100. And also businesses can sponsor a day of the marathons. So we've already had 6 businesses take us up on that. So we've got 94 places left of businesses that might want to sponsor a day, or individuals that might want to sponsor one of the marathons to make us be able to travel across the country and make this amazing fundraising opportunity happen.
That is awesome, Hannah. Thank you for saying that. And so if anyone wants to go and support at all or learn more, we will make sure we link to this, but the website, where do people head?
Yeah, it's literally just projectsalt1.com, or you can search for it on LinkedIn, Instagram, or TikTok.
It's a great name too. How could you forget that as well?
I know.
Project Salt Run. Hannah, thank you for sharing all of that. I'm just in awe of what you are tackling here, and I very much hope that we can do our small bit here by telling everyone about what you're up to and raising awareness, and hopefully people will be tuning into this and thinking, not only supporting you but also being inspired by what you're doing, because it's truly pushing the limits of what I think humans can possibly do, and on so many levels, not just from fitness but also how to think about business, fundraising, doing good in the world. You're truly just an amazing human. So Hannah, thank you very much, and thank you for joining me on today's show when I'm sure you probably should be out there running, or like maybe you've already done that today.
I've done my morning run. I have got my strength training to do, which is why I've still got my gym kit on. I've got a kettlebell under my desk, so I'll be doing that.
We better not keep you from that. I don't want to get you in any trouble with your coach or Hannah, thank you very much for joining me, and wishing you the absolute very best from all of us here at EcoSend, and we'll be cheering you on from the sidelines from start to finish. So we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you.